Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm excited to start our discussion with this important topic, child abuse. On this first slide, you see the title, which highlights the focus of our presentation. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what child abuse is, its different forms, the impact it has on young lives, and how we can work together to prevent it. I look forward to sharing insights and strategies with you all. Let's get started. When we talk about child abuse, we're referring to any intentional act that causes harm to a child. This includes physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. It's important to understand that abuse isn't just about overt acts. It also covers acts of neglect, which can be equally damaging. These acts are usually committed by someone responsible for caring for the child, like a parent, guardian, or caregiver. Recognizing this broad definition helps us understand the various ways children can be harmed and underscores the importance of vigilance and intervention to protect their well-being. Remember, the goal of this presentation is to raise awareness and foster prevention, so understanding what constitutes child abuse is a critical first step. According to UNICEF, violence against children encompasses a wide range of harmful behaviors, including physical and mental abuse, injury, neglect, exploitation, and sexual abuse. It's important to understand that this violence can happen in many different settings. For example, it may occur within the home, where children should feel safest, or in schools, orphanages, and residential care facilities. It can also happen on the streets, in workplaces, prisons, and detention centers. This kind of violence has serious implications because it can interfere with a child's normal development. When a child experiences such trauma, it can affect their mental, physical, and social well-being. In some extreme cases, the abuse can be so severe that it results in death. Understanding these key points helps us see just how widespread and damaging violence against children can be. It underscores the importance of protecting children wherever they are and ensuring their safety and healthy growth. Let's talk about some of the parental factors that can influence child abuse. First, if the parent is itself a child who is abused, they may struggle to break the cycle and provide a safe environment. Second, when a pregnancy is unwanted, parents might feel overwhelmed or resentful, which can impact their parenting. Many young mothers, especially those who lack support or have limited education, may also find it challenging to meet their child's needs effectively. Additionally, parents often have unrealistic expectations of their children, expecting them to behave or develop in ways that aren't age-appropriate, which can lead to frustration and potential abuse. Lack of parenting knowledge is another critical factor. If parents don't understand their child's development or how to handle certain behaviors, it can increase the risk. Isolation is also a significant issue. Parents with few supports may feel alone and overwhelmed, lacking someone to turn to for help or guidance. Finally, parental mental health problems, such as mental illness or substance abuse, greatly impair the ability to parent safely and responsively. All these factors can contribute to an environment where child abuse is more likely to occur. Recognizing these helps us better understand the complex circumstances behind child abuse and highlights the importance of support and intervention. When we look at environmental factors that can impact a child's development, several key issues stand out. Overcrowding in the house is a significant concern because it can create a stressful and chaotic environment, making it harder for a child to feel safe and secure. Poverty or a lack of opportunities to improve the family's resources can also play a major role, often limiting access to essential needs like proper nutrition, healthcare, and education. Family violence, unfortunately, is another critical factor that can deeply affect a child's emotional well-being and sense of stability. Having a non-biological adult living in the house can sometimes introduce additional stress or confusion for a child, especially if boundaries are unclear or if there is inconsistency in caregiving. When a family is experiencing multiple stresses simultaneously, such as financial hardship, relationship problems, or health issues, it can create an unstable environment that impacts the child's development and sense of security. Now, turning to child-specific factors, it's important to recognize that a sickly or unwanted baby can face particular challenges. Such circumstances might influence the child's emotional health and how they relate to caregivers. If a child has a physical or developmental disability, they may require additional support, which, if not adequately provided, can affect their growth and integration within the family. Children who are the product of an abusive relationship often carry emotional scars that can influence their sense of safety and trust. Lastly, a lack of attachment between a child and their parent is a vital concern because strong, secure attachments are foundational for healthy emotional development. When these bonds are weak or absent, it can have long-lasting effects on the child's ability to form healthy relationships later in life. Overall, understanding these environmental and child factors helps us see how complex a child's development can be and underscores the importance of creating supportive, stable environments for children to thrive. Child abuse can take many different forms, and it's important to understand each of them thoroughly. First, there's physical abuse, which involves causing physical harm or injury to a child, often through hitting, burning, or other forms of violence. Then, emotional abuse is more about damaging a child's self-esteem or emotional well-being through words or actions that are neglectful or hurtful. Sexual abuse, sadly, involves inappropriate sexual contact or behavior directed toward a child, and it's a serious violation of their safety and trust. Lastly, neglect occurs when a child's basic needs, like food, shelter, medical care, or emotional support, are not being met. Recognizing these different forms is crucial because they each have unique signs and impacts, but they all threaten a child's safety and development. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding these forms helps us better protect children and intervene early when abuse occurs. Physical abuse can sometimes happen when a caregiver isn't familiar with what normal child behavior looks like. It's important to remember that inexperienced caregivers might not know what to expect from a child at different stages of development. When a child doesn't respond in the way they hope or expect, frustration can build up. Unfortunately, this frustration can lead to physical harm, even if that wasn't the intention. It's crucial to understand that physical abuse occurs when a child is physically harmed due to interactions or even the lack of proper interaction by someone responsible for their care. This could be a parent, a teacher, or anyone in a position of trust or authority. Such harm could often be prevented if the caregiver had the right knowledge and skills. So the key message here is that lack of understanding about normal child behavior can sometimes lead to harmful situations. That's why education and awareness are so vital in preventing physical abuse. When caregivers are equipped with the right information, they're better able to respond appropriately, ensuring children are safe and supported. Injury from emotional abuse can be just as serious and lasting as that from physical abuse, but the challenge is that it is much more difficult to identify. Unlike visible injuries, emotional abuse often leaves no obvious signs, making it harder to recognize and address. At its core, emotional abuse can be understood as a failure to provide a supportive environment and a primary attachment figure for a child. This support is crucial because it helps children develop a full and healthy range of emotional abilities. When this foundation is lacking, it can have profound and long-term effects on their emotional well-being. So, when we talk about emotional abuse, we're really talking about the absence of nurturing and connection that every child needs to grow into a secure and emotionally resilient adult. Recognizing these signs and understanding the importance of a supportive environment is key to preventing lasting damage. On this slide, we're looking at the different types of emotional abuse that can happen to children. One common form is verbal abuse, which can include humiliating a child, scapegoating them to divert blame, setting unrealistic expectations, and belittling them or using erratic discipline tactics. These behaviors can really undermine a child's self-esteem and sense of safety. Another key point is emotional unavailability. This happens when caregivers are so absorbed in their own problems that they can't be emotionally present for their children. It might seem like indifference, but it often stems from their own struggles, which leaves the child feeling ignored or unsupported. We also see situations where caregivers give insufficient or poor nurturing. meaning they don't provide the emotional support or care a child needs. Sometimes, caregivers threaten to leave the child or end the relationship altogether, which can create a deep sense of insecurity and fear. Finally, role reversal is a significant form of emotional abuse. In these cases, the child is forced to take on adult responsibilities, like parenting the parent or managing household issues. They're blamed for the parent's problems, which can distort their understanding of relationships and responsibilities. All these forms of emotional abuse connect to the overall theme of how complex and damaging emotional trauma can be, especially when children don't have healthy emotional support. Recognizing these behaviors is a crucial step toward protecting and helping affected children. Today, I want to talk about sexual abuse, which is a very serious issue. Sexual abuse involves engaging a child in any sexual activity that they either do not understand or cannot give informed consent for. It also includes situations where the child is not physically, mentally, or emotionally prepared for such activities. It's important to understand that abuse can be carried out not only by adults, but also by another child who might be developmentally more advanced than the victim. This means that even children can be perpetrators, which makes prevention and awareness all the more critical. Furthermore, sexual abuse can take many disturbing forms, such as using a child for pornography, involving them in sexual materials, prostitution, or other unlawful sexual practices. All of these are serious violations of a child's rights and well-being. The key message here is that protecting children from any form of sexual abuse is vital. It's about recognizing the signs, understanding the nature of abuse, and being vigilant to ensure their safety and dignity. This ties into our overall goal of safeguarding children and fostering a safe, supportive environment for their growth. Neglect or negligent treatment occurs when a caregiver intentionally omits some or all of a child's developmental needs. This isn't just accidental. It's a purposeful act or inaction that can seriously harm the child's well-being. It includes situations where the caregiver fails to protect the child from dangerous or harmful environments when they reasonably could. Child neglect specifically refers to failing to provide basic necessities like hygiene, health care, proper nutrition, love, nurturing, and supervision. All of these elements are essential for a child's healthy growth and development. Most importantly, neglect is a serious form of maltreatment that can have long-lasting effects. It ties into the overall theme of our presentation by highlighting how crucial attentive and responsible caregiving is for a child's safety and future. Recognizing neglect helps us understand the importance of safeguarding children and intervening when their needs are not being met. Neglect can show up in many different ways, and it's important to understand that it generally falls into two broad categories: physical neglect and emotional neglect. Physical neglect is when a child's basic needs aren't being met. This includes essentials like food, clothing, shelter, and supervision. It also covers access to medical care and education, which are crucial for healthy development. On the other hand, emotional neglect happens when a child's emotional needs are ignored. This might mean a lack of attention, affection, or nurturing that helps build their sense of security and self-worth. Both forms of neglect can have serious impacts on a child's well-being and overall development. Recognizing these differences helps us better understand the kinds of support and intervention that might be needed to protect vulnerable children. This ties directly into our overall theme of safeguarding children's rights and ensuring they grow up in safe, nurturing environments. Understanding the causes of child abuse is a crucial first step in prevention. By learning all you can about abuse and neglect, you become better equipped to recognize the warning signs early on. It's important to be vigilant and attentive to any signals that might indicate a child is being harmed. If you do notice something concerning, don't hesitate to report it immediately. Prompt action can make a real difference in a child's life. Remember, if you ever feel that you're at risk of harming a child yourself, seeking help is essential, not just for the child's safety, but for yours as well. Being a friend to a child or a parent in need can provide crucial support and intervention. Also, don't underestimate the power of raising awareness. Alerting others to the problem and helping them understand the different forms of abuse, whether physical, sexual, or emotional, can create a community that actively works to protect children. All these steps, understanding, recognizing, reporting, seeking help, and raising awareness, are interconnected and form the foundation of effective prevention. Together, we can create safer environments where children can thrive free from harm. Let's take a closer look at some of the major policies and legislations that have been put in place in our country to safeguard child rights and improve their overall well-being. Starting with the National Policy for Children from 1974, this was one of the earliest efforts to recognize children as a vital segment needing special attention. It laid the foundation for many future policies by emphasizing their development and protection. Moving on, the National Policy on Education of 1986 aimed to promote universal access to quality education, ensuring that every child has the opportunity to learn and grow. Education is a key driver in empowering children and shaping their future. Then, we have the National Policy on Child Labor from 1987, which focused on preventing child exploitation and providing rehabilitation for working children. Its goal was to eliminate child labor and protect children from hazardous work environments. The National Nutrition Policy of 1993 highlights the importance of nutrition in child development, aiming to combat malnutrition and ensure children receive adequate nourishment for healthy growth. In 1998, the report of the Committee on Prostitution, Child Prostitutes, and Children of Prostitutes, along with the Plan of Action to Combat Trafficking and Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Women and Children, marked a crucial step toward addressing child trafficking and exploitation. It underscored the need for coordinated efforts to protect vulnerable children. The National Health Policy of 2002 further emphasizes child health, focusing on reducing infant and maternal mortality and improving healthcare services for children. In 2004, the National Charter for Children was adopted, which explicitly recognizes children's rights and calls for their protection, development, and participation in society. Following that, the National Plan of Action for Children in 2005 laid out comprehensive strategies to implement these policies effectively and monitor progress. Altogether, these policies reflect a strong commitment to creating a safer, healthier, and more equitable environment for children in India. They form the backbone of our efforts to uphold children's rights and ensure their holistic development, connecting back to our overall theme of creating a better future through child-centric policies. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share these insights with you. Remember, the key points we've discussed highlight the importance of understanding the core concepts and applying them effectively. I hope this presentation has helped clarify some of the critical ideas and inspired you to take the next steps. If you have any questions or want to explore further, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks again for being such an engaged audience.